Yeah.
Also, if you will find those things for me on Amazon and send them to me,
What thing?
what wiring we would need for that,
Okay.
like the audio, and if you happen to, you can also find the video component of that, because I don't really know what to look for. I mean, I would find it in those parts of the and kind of know what to look for.
Is your laptop here?
No, I don't know.
Okay.
I assume it's just HDMI though.
Does your camera have an HDMI output on it?
Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll need to do some investigating before I look into what
Yeah.
cables it's set
Okay.
to get. So.
Okay, let me find the topics that we had mentioned earlier. I figure after our initial check-in, I'll probably just mention Martin Luther King Jr. Day.
Okay.
And we can go on to news and whatnot from there.
Okay.
News and so forth and so on.
Yes. Okay, let me find. Okay. Ready to go?
Ready to go?
We need
Yeah.
one of those platforms so that way I know in the video when things can happen.
Yep. All right. You want me to count you down?
Please.
How about I just
Yeah, that worked too.
in 5, 4, 3.
You're not supposed to do it the whole time. Start over. You always do it on the last one.
Okay. 5, 4, 3, 2.
And welcome back to the Queen Cast.
Woo! Yes.
This is Soa here. I'm here today with Michael and Deborah.
Yes.
Alex is currently in Mexico, and we wish her all the best. Hope she is not too stressed out, and that we want to let her know that we're thinking about her and praying for her,
Yes.
sending her good vibes.
Yes.
Should we just explain real quick? Alex went back to Mexico. She had some stuff to do, and it's apparently stressful. So that's why we're saying that. We're not just like, oh, sorry, Alex, bye.
What?
Okay.
You made that overly complicated.
I know.
But I thought it was fine.
Prayers, she can hurry up and come back.
Yes.
I didn't want people to get the impression that we were doing the whole, like, on Facebook, how sometimes people are like, sometimes this surgery doesn't go very well, and you get pissed off, and everybody's like, you had surgery, and, All right, let's move on.
Yes. Let's move on. So today is Sunday, but tomorrow is Monday, Martin Luther King Jr. Day.
Yes, yes.
Anybody have any specific plans for MLK Day?
Work.
Work.
Sorry, I have to work too, but so I was actually going to try to do like a service project over this weekend, but I just never got it together. So it's going to be a later service project. Hopefully work with maybe like HACIPA, which is an organization here in Louisville that works with Hispanic immigrants and helps them understand their rights and provides them with different services and stuff. So
Nice.
I think it is apt given the fact that we've got all sorts of things happening with the DACA Act, which allowed young Hispanics who had come here undocumented to be able to work for a certain amount of time, and Trump is trying to take that away.
Yes, it is.
I think today they may have reached some sort of solution. Or actually, I think that they cannot. I think there was a legal case that said they can't just take it away without something. I haven't actually looked into it yet because it just came out this morning. So hopefully we'll get that worked out. But in remembrance of MLK Day, I wanted to do something related to that because I think it's very. I think it's just part of like our new civil rights movement. It's immigrant rights.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how's everyone's week? Deborah, I know you've been sick.
Oh Lord, last Monday, I was at work feeling like crap, so I went to the little clinic in Walgreens, and she was like, "You have a double ear infection and a upper respiratory infection." I was like, "Well, I knew I was sick, but I didn't know I was that sick." So she gave me some meds, and I feel so much better.
I'm glad you're feeling better, but what I
Yeah.
don't understand is if I can self-diagnose without any sort of health-related degrees, why can't you self-diagnose?
Because I go, and I knew something was wrong, but I just go. So I had to let somebody else tell me to sit down somewhere. So
Plus, she's also in the medical field, and I guess the equivalent for you would be like, why can't you represent yourself or
yeah,
whatever?
Oh, because it would be terrible.
because I was just like, I was to go away, but it didn't go away. It was just lingering and lingering. So, and then she was like, you can't work. And she said, you can go to work if you want, but no working out because of double ear infection. You get dizzy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She was like, I don't want you falling down them steps, y'all. Really, because I told her. So she was like, no working out until next Monday. So I was like, ah,
Did you
okay.
get a doctor's note for Erin?
No, but I put it on Facebook hoping she would have sympathy for me.
She's not going
I
to.
know she's not
Let's be
going
honest,
to.
she's not. She's going to be like, oh, you were sick. Well, you need to be you need to work twice as hard to get back to where you were.
Yes,
Yeah.
but I'm ready. So
Good. I'll be glad to have you back.
I am
Yeah.
too. I'm ready.
Yes. Michael, how was your week?
My week was fairly boring, not very eventful, but I did learn some science yesterday, which is in the area that we live in, and it has been super cold again.
Mm-hmm.
Even I say it has been super cold, and it's Sunday, even though on Thursday it was like 65 degrees.
Right.
But here today on Sunday, there's snow all over the ground and everything is frozen.
It's
Yes.
okay.
Yeah, but so yesterday I had some place to be at 10 a.m. and there was already a bunch of snow on the ground and it was already like 8 degrees outside. So I thought, at 9, I thought, I'm going to go ahead and go out and get my car shoveled off and get into it and get it warmed up and everything so I can go get some breakfast before I have to be where I have to be. And I went outside at 9 o'clock and I couldn't get into my car because the lock was frozen.
Right.
Which I've lived in this area my whole life, and I've had cars for a long time, and I've never had locks frozen the way they get frozen on the car I currently have. I don't know why. I guess maybe the way the door's made or something. I don't know, but that's happened a couple of times now. And the other times when my lock on I only have one lock on my car. First of all, it's the one on the driver's side door. None of the other doors have locks on them.
Most of the newer cars
Oh,
don't.
yeah.
Yeah. So, and I could open my trunk, but I can't get in through my trunk. It doesn't have like the back seat doesn't
Go down.
give you access to the trunk of my car. So before, when the lock has frozen on my car, what I've done is I've managed to take a lighter and heat the key up enough to warm the key and melt the ice inside the lock. And that has worked until yesterday when that was not working. So I stood out there and I was just like holding the lighter to my key for a long time, and then I would shove it into the lock and try to turn it. It wouldn't turn, and I did it. And I stood there much longer than I should have, for maybe like a half an hour trying to get into my car before I finally thought, well, I'm done. I'm just not going anywhere today. And I came in the house and I sat down and I Googled, what do you do? Like, because I don't have any de-icer. I do now. Today I bought some. But yesterday I didn't. So I was like, what? I Googled what you're supposed to do. And one of the first things was use a lighter to warm your key up. But another thing that I read was rubbing alcohol will displace water. And so there was a lady who was talking about how she made this water and alcohol mixture in a spray bottle and sprayed it on her lock, and it worked. And so I had rubbing alcohol in a spray bottle, so I put rubbing alcohol in the spray bottle and sprayed it in the lock, and it worked.
Yay.
Science is amazing. So for all of our listeners out there, and for people watching at home, if they do actually end up ever seeing this, rubbing alcohol. If you don't have any de-icer and your locks are frozen, try rubbing alcohol.
And I also learned, to piggyback off of Michael, hand sanitizer.
Yeah.
You can use hand sanitizer to unfreeze your locks on your car.
Yep.
So just squirt it on
And
there.
piggybacking off that, you could also just not leave your house.
Oh,
Like
boom.
me. Because it's cold and I don't want to go anywhere. Which is basically what I did after the 65-degree weather ended. I was in my house Friday, Saturday, and the only reason I left today was to be here.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I would have sat inside all day as well, because I'm not about the cold weather, and I'm not about slipping and falling on that ice,
Right.
because I ain't trying to break nothing.
No.
Right.
I'm very delicate.
We all are.
Yes.
Even though some of us have got a little bit more patty. No
True.
one wants to break anything.
Yeah. I also assume I've got Asian bones that apparently are more susceptible to osteoporosis than other people's bones.
That is still allegedly.
Allegedly, yes. So, yeah, I've just been inside. and I cannot wait until we have 65-degree weather again.
But I was in Walmart Thursday when everybody was getting their bread and milk, and people were in Walmart with shorts on.
Because it was freaking amazingly
Short, and here I am with my big
Yeah.
black coat on, my scarf, because I was still sick,
Oh,
and
yeah.
I'm looking at them like, did I just walk into the time warp zone? Because it was crazy. But then Friday, boom, snow and ice.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That ice, man. I don't even know what to do about it.
Nothing you can do. Wait it out.
Yeah.
It's true. Or
Stay
just
aside.
spray alcohol all over your stairs.
Or hand sanitizer, just yeah.
Yep.
That's what to do. Now I know what to do with all those extra hand sanitizers that I get for free from everywhere.
Yeah.
And
See?
instead of just throwing them into the back of a drawer somewhere, because I like to wash my hands, I can just keep them for wintry days.
Yeah, see, I don't have any hand sanitizer, but also hand sanitizer will dry your hands out. And we were talking before we started recording about having silky smooth hands, and
Very important.
which is very
Yeah.
important.
Yes.
Be careful with hand sanitizer because it will make your hands dry and gross.
I got a story about Soha and her hand wash.
Oh, let's do it.
I noticed
Let's
it
get
on-
into it.
After we work out together, which we've said that often. We do boot camp together, and of course we roll on the ground and out in the hallway. So as soon as we get together and take a picture at the end, as soon as Erin, the girl that does the boot camp, as soon as she says, "Oh, thanks guys, good job," Soha's the first one up the steps to wash her hands in
Yep.
the sink, and I just laugh at her because she's like, "Phew." Then she comes back down and like, okay, yeah, you wash your hands religiously.
I
I do.
also do. I wash my
And
hands so often.
Who's not gotten sick?
True. Boom.
Yeah, and I haven't been sick in a really long time either. I don't know if it's because I don't wash my hands or I do wash my hands. No, I do. Washing my hands and flossing are two things that I do compulsively, and I don't have any teeth problems, and I haven't been sick in a long time. So
Well, I'm gonna blame it on my granddaughter. She goes to daycare, and when I'm
Oh,
getting her
no.
dressed in the morning, I'll be putting her clothes on, and she goes right in my face. I'm sorry, Gigi. In my face. I'm sorry, Gigi. I'm like, it's okay. I'll take it from you. I'll take it.
Yes,
So,
man.
yeah.
These little germ pods.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Pods. Speaking of pods, have y'all seen the pod challenge where people are putting those
I
Tide
read
Pods?
about it. I have not seen that because I feel like it would make me gag.
They're actually putting them in a bowl with milk. Some are just, it's a challenge to see if you can
Those
chew it.
like Tide dishwasher
Yeah.
pods.
They're,
Yeah.
why would you do that?
it's a challenge.
On
And,
YouTube.
yeah, for YouTube. One guy, he put them in a bowl and put them in milk and was trying to eat them.
Isn't that poisonous chemicals?
Yes, yeah. They're doing Tide Pod challenges, and please, people, do not do that.
Yeah, it's gross. It's not funny.
And it can kill you.
Yeah, and it's just there's like, what kind of person are you trying to impress?
Right.
Who would be impressed by you successfully eating a Tide Pod?
Yeah.
Nobody cool.
No.
Let's be
No.
honest. You're not impressing anyone that you want to impress.
There's a
No.
very specific niche that you want to avoid that would be impressed by that.
Right.
Yeah, like teenage boys,
Yeah.
which, as we've established, are not cool.
No.
Have
They're
we
real.
established that? If not, let's establish it now.
As
Teenage boys are not cool.
a one-time teenage boy myself, who arguably can still be a teenage boy from time to time,
I
would like to attest teenage boys are not cool, including grown-up male adult teenage boys.
Yeah, that's so true.
Yes.
So, no challenges, people, please.
Yeah, maybe the cinnamon challenge.
No, that'll kill you too.
Will it?
Yeah, you can't swallow cinnamon. The powdered cinnamon,
Yeah.
that gets in your lungs.
Are your lungs connected to your?
Okay.
Your mouth
Mouth,
flowing?
lungs, ears.
Oh yeah, you're right. Because I can breathe out of my mouth.
Yeah. Okay.
Science.
Science.
Speaking
Yeah.
to bring all this back around, when I was a teenage boy, when I was maybe 16 or 17 years old, I gargled carpet shampoo on a dare once.
See, teenage boys, not cool.
That was
Did you impress anyone?
no.
Yeah.
That was the most disgusting thing I've ever had in my mouth. I can't even begin to describe to you how much that tasted like death.
I'm surprised you're still here with us.
Well, I didn't
Your
swallow
stomach-
that. I
oh,
spit
okay.
it out. But no, if I would have swallowed it, I'm sure it would have killed me.
Of course.
But
Oh, what did you get for that dare? You don't even remember now, do you?
The respect of my peers who were also dumb teenage boys.
Oh, I was gonna say, did you do it for a girl? Did you at least get it?
I don't remember any girls being around.
Yeah.
I would never do something that
What a
stupid in front of a girl.
What a surprise, there were no girls around.
Right. The girl would have been like, don't do that, Michael.
No, they would have been like,
You would've
swallow it.
Slightly cooler
Swallow it.
if you were actually
Swallow.
hanging out with girls.
Yeah.
My
Okay.
friend has a theory that the kids that would always lick things for money in like elementary school, like, hey, lick this and I'll give you a quarter, and that they have the best immune systems because they have built up their resistance
Yeah.
over the years.
Yep.
Mhm.
And I'm like, not worth it.
No, I wouldn't do it.
Not
Mhm.
worth it.
Mm-mm.
I can't even, like you said, eat my gummy bears after my workout without washing my hands.
Right. Gotta wash your hands.
I bought a giant thing of gummy bears at the grocery store today.
It's probably because I put it in your head.
Probably. You have talked about gummy bears before. So.
Yes.
Yeah.
So there it is, gummy bears.
It's great for a post-workout snack
So
for
they
some
say-
reason.
They say Pop-Tarts are too, but
And that's a little bit too much for
you
me.
know
Gummy
Richard eats his Pop-Tarts after
I
a
know.
workout.
I know. That's a little bit too much sugar for me. I like to have savory stuff, but I can do the gummy bears.
Are you concerned about the amount of horse included in gummy bears?
Horse.
No.
Oh shit,
Because
here
I
we
did
go.
not know that was a thing.
Well, so gummy bears are mostly gelatin. Gelatin is like ground up animal byproduct.
It's not ground up animal byproduct. It is the bone marrow from animals,
Oh, is it?
which in many countries is a delicious delicacy.
Okay.
Okay. See, I had my information wrong. I thought it was like hooves and
Science.
No, that's like hot dogs, I think.
well,
I'm
6-1 have those in the end.
Yeah, if
Yeah,
you,
I'm
I
still
don't know if
eating.
yeah, so I don't know if you have ever come across the bone marrow of like a cow or a goat, but it got the same consistency as Jello because it's gelatin.
It does.
Yeah.
It does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like you can get it in Indian food. There's like certain specialty dishes that are basically like the bones, and it's got the gelatin in them, and it's
Yeah.
All right.
so good.
Yeah.
And I know people are probably gagging right now, but
Let them gag.
don't knock it till you try it.
Right.
All right.
Anyway, so what have you all been looking at, reading, listening to in the news this week?
Well, a few different things. There was one thing that you brought to my attention that apparently I missed this week, which was the H&M hoodie situation,
Yes.
which I have since read about and am now able to talk about it. But when you mentioned it like 2 hours ago, I was like, "What are you talking about?" Apparently, that was a thing that happened this week, and I was paying attention to
Everything else.
I guess. So
Yeah. So Deborah, have you heard about those?
Yes, of course I did.
You want to tell people what was the
H&M.
controversy?
H&M, the clothing store that some of us have shopped at. They put
Wearing
a
many of their things right now.
right. They put a little black boy in a hoodie that said "coolest monkey in the jungle." Okay. First of all, I want to see how in the hell they thought that was cool. How in the hell in this day and time can you even fathom to put a little black child, and I'm not gonna say African American, fuck that, a little black child, a little boy,
Mm-hmm.
in a hoodie that says "coolest monkey in the jungle"? We all know the history of that word, how they have used it towards us. And I just have one question. And Sean John, P. Diddy, Puffy, if he wants to run a clothing campaign and had a little girl, little white, little blonde hair little girl in a hoodie that said "coolest crack ass cracker" in the bottom,
I would wear that hoodie so hard.
who would? I mean, think about that. It would be outrage. How in the world can you even? I wouldn't. I don't care how much money they offer me. Now his mother has been on Twitter and everything else, and she says we shouldn't be upset.
Are they American? I wonder. And the only reason I asked that because I know H&M is a Swedish company, and I don't know where they take their marketing pictures.
Right. Well,
Are
okay.
they
I'm
absolutely-
I'm assuming she's a black woman because I don't know what nationality she is or where she's from. But coming from a black woman, I have a daughter. There is no way that they could put that. There is no amount of money that would make me humiliate my daughter and put her in a shirt, a hoodie that says that. And then the little white boy had a hoodie on talking about being a king. So I'm telling you, it's the Trump era. Everybody, I believe all those people that put him in that hoodie support Trump. Might sound ignorant, but it is true because they have money. So,
People with money.
right. So, and what person would wear that? What I don't think I know no African Americans or black people would wear it.
God, no.
You know what I'm saying?
I don't think no Indian people would wear that
Right,
either.
right. They marketed it towards white people to wear, but they put it on him. So I was just trying to figure out how in the world did they even think that would pass.
Yeah, and that's kind of why I wondered whether that picture, that marketing, whatever was done in the United States or if it was done in Sweden. Not to say that Sweden doesn't have a history of racism. I just don't know about it as much as I know about the history of racism in the U.S.
Well, whoever does their marketing should be.
Yes, once it gets to the United States market, someone needs to be looking at it
Yes.
and say, is this appropriate for the U.S.? Now, I don't think it's appropriate anywhere.
Period.
But there are certain historical contexts related to using the word monkey in reference to African Americans
Right.
that may not be the same in other countries.
Yes.
Like blackface, that is very American type of
Exactly.
racism. Which, not to say that anyone in the world can do it because they're exempt from American racism because they're not American, but there's a certain history there that they don't have in other countries. And again, that doesn't excuse H&M, but I do wonder if this was like someone Swedish who just thought this is okay.
It's just
to say.
ignorance on their part,
I
not
had-
like overt racism.
I had a guy at work tell me that he's white, and he was like, Deborah, you black people get upset. You're taking it too far. You're taking it this way and that way. So I had to break it down to him, and I told him just like it's okay. His name is. I'm not gonna say his name, but I was like
Call him.
such and such,
Eugene.
Let's call him Eugene.
such and such. You have told us a story about your parents leaving you at the hospital and your grandmother had to come and raise you. I know nothing about that.
Right.
So you can't talk to me about what it's like to be black. You can't tell me to be upset. You can't get mad at me because I'm upset about that. How dare you?
Yeah.
So being that I would never speak on you being left in the hospital because my parents raised me and still help me to this day, you could never, ever tell me not to be upset about anything when it comes to black people.
Yeah, I don't understand where people think that they can tell others how they should feel
Right.
about anything.
Yeah.
Like that's such
I
bullshit.
would never tell him, you shouldn't be, that's crazy, you shouldn't be upset with your parents. I know nothing about that, so you cannot comment on nothing when it comes to me being a black woman in America.
Mhm.
So he'll later apologize, but he didn't, maybe before he didn't look at it like that.
Right.
But you can't tell me to be upset. You can't tell me not to be upset. You can't judge me for being upset.
Right.
And you can't be mad at me for being upset.
Yeah.
The fuck? Yeah, so it's just crazy. It's
It
crazy.
is. It
Fucking
is.
Eugene.
Yeah. So I got him together real quick.
Good. It's nice when people are actually willing to learn from their mistakes and listen to someone else's opinion and say, hey, okay, I know where you're coming from,
Right.
and I understand that now,
Yeah.
and apologize.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah. And we still cool. I just had to let him know. You keep him off of that.
Yeah.
Blank period.
Yeah.
There it is.
Yeah. So speaking of a story that sort of had a bad beginning and a nice ending, Michael, you brought up a story regarding Sarah Silverman to us earlier. You want to talk about that?
I do, but in just a second because I have some
Ruined
questions.
my transition.
I have some questions about the H&M thing. So first of all, isn't Sweden supposedly one of the more progressive countries in the world? Or yes? Okay.
Yes, based upon their laws and I think their happiness factor.
Okay. All right. Second, I've never been in an H&M store, and I don't own any clothes by H&M. But you just said you're wearing mostly H&M.
Yes.
So
It's a nice store.
my question was going to be, what do they sell? But
They sell
Clothing.
clothing, and the reason I shop there a lot is because they actually have decent labor practices. Like a few years ago, they had come out with this sort of like not really a bill of rights, but these standards for the clothing companies that they work with, the suppliers that they work with in third world countries, and involve like raising the wages of the workers and things like that. And apparently it was so progressive that no American company would sign on to it. So that's one of the reasons that I do support H&M and why I shop there a lot, is because in terms of companies that sell what's called like quote unquote fast fashion, which are clothes that are fairly cheap and kind of throwaway clothing, they have better labor standards. Not perfect, but better labor standards than your typical clothing company.
Gotcha. So they milkshake duck themselves with this ad situation.
You know what? Milkshake duck?
Milkshake duck. Oh, a milk.
Does this have something to do with your milkshakes that you've been drinking?
No,
Oh.
no, I haven't been drinking any milkshakes. But I had a great idea. What if I made a grape milkshake?
Yeah.
Gross.
What is
Does it have grape cough
Grape
syrup in
jelly.
it?
Grape jelly, or just actual grapes and grape juice. I don't know. No, milkshake duck.
Pass.
If I'm remembering, I mean, it's a internet slang, but if I'm remembering correctly, it's something that everybody falls in love with on the internet specifically. One day and the next day, because it's all wholesome and cute and blah 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 or whatever, and then the next day, the internet turns on it because it turns out that the thing is fucked up or bad or whatever. You know, I don't know. Milkshake duck. On one hand, H&M is so progressive in their labor rights and blah blah blah. It's great. And on the next day, they're showing the model in the
Yeah.
monkey hoodie.
Now, to say, people of color will still shop there, but I think they now know we're not having that shit.
Yeah.
So don't.
They apologize pretty
And-
quickly.
Yes, and whoever is head of marketing in the U.S. or wherever they're from or whatever they do, need to check your facts, do a fact check,
Mhm.
and we're not standing for that.
Yeah, which is kind of awesome because I think it's been fairly recent that people of color are even considered when any product or movie or
Right,
music is being marketed.
right.
Like I tend to avoid now, like movies that don't prominently feature people of color, like in their trailers and stuff.
True.
Like I've spent my entire life watching and listening to stories of white people, and I don't really want to do it anymore.
No.
And I don't think I should have to. And so, you know, if a movie trailer doesn't, if they've got like one token,
Right,
you know,
right.
like the token Asian,
Yeah.
token black person,
And then we get
whatever.
killed in the first 3
Yeah,
minutes.
then I'm not dealing with it. But
Yeah.
if it actually features people of color in prominent roles, then I will watch it. And for the most part, I think that most people think that way, and that's why you see films and TV shows and stuff with diverse casts be more successful.
Yeah.
It's not one-sided.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I pulled this up. Wikipedia defines milkshake duck
We're still on milkshake duck.
as an internet meme that describes phenomena that are initially perceived as positive, only to soon after be revealed as deeply flawed. Oxford Dictionaries defines the term as a person or character on social media that appears to be endearing at first, but is found to have an unappealing backstory.
Okay.
So-
So I'm gonna use that.
Milkshake duck.
Milkshake duck.
So H&M milkshake duck themselves.
The Queen Cast, the milkshake duck of podcast.
No, we don't want to be milkshake ducks.
No, oh God, no.
The opposite of milkshake duck
Right.
podcast. We seem unapproachable and horrible, but we actually have a lovely backstory.
We do. Beautiful. We're all beautiful.
Just here's
That was pretty funny.
I know. Thanks.
You're welcome.
Can we transition now to the Sarah Silverman
We
story?
can.
Okay.
I didn't actually know we were going to be talking about the Sarah Silverman
We
story.
literally brought it up 2 hours ago in our group chat.
We'll see how it normally works. A little inside baseball for our fans watching at home if they can see it. I usually just skim through articles that catch my attention and then save them, and so that I can bring them to the group. And then anything we decide to talk about, I'll like hastily do my research on it, which I didn't think we were going to talk about it, so I didn't do my research on it today. But
Would you like me to introduce it then?
yes, please.
Okay, so Sarah Silverman was called a, and if you have sensitive ears, beep. And if you don't have sensitive ears, she was called a cunt on Twitter.
Yep.
And she had this like amazing response where she told this person, you know, you look like you've got some problems, you look like you need help, and I recognize you, I see you, what can I do to help you? And he actually responded and said, you know, I've got all these problems, and she reached out to people in her Twitterverse and said, you know, this guy needs some, I think it was like back disc surgery or something like that. Anyone who can help him. Someone said, "Yeah, we'll take care of it."
Wow.
And he is hopefully moving towards a better life. But it really brought out the concept that even when hate is directed your way, you can respond with love and compassion, and ultimately change the narrative, which was that Sarah Silverman helped somebody as opposed to this dick called Sarah Silverman a cunt.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was good on her part, because most people would have went to war with him on Twitter, you know.
Yes, or what I think most of us do when we deal with idiots is ignore them,
Right.
which is the very easy response.
Yeah.
And sometimes it is the smart response. I mean, I don't necessarily have the time to respond to every bad thing that happens to me with compassion and kindness, which is something I admit is a fault of mine. But, you know, I ain't got time for that. I wish I did, because I think if you're kind all the time and not just when it's easy or convenient.
True.
But, you know, I don't have time, especially when it comes to social media, to engage with people who are being dumb or rude or insulting.
Yeah.
And it's and I don't have like a Twitterverse where I can say, "Hey, fix this guy's back problem," and someone's just going to do it for free.
True.
Yeah.
Not yet, anyway.
Not yet, but we will.
That's what
Yeah.
we're working on.
Yes. But do you all think that is like the best way to respond, or is it better sometimes to just let it go and let that person have their little day of calling you a cunt?
I think what she did was beautiful. I'm not there yet, you know. So, but I think what she did was, because she was basically being bullied, and
Yes.
she turned it into a positive. So I admire her for that.
Yeah, it is admirable.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's situational. I think more often than not, the good response, the healthy thing to do, is don't engage with the crazy person. Just don't take the bait, because you're gonna. We've all been on the internet long enough to know that as soon as you take the bait, you're in it. You're in a fucking flame war, and there's nothing you can do about it. So, I think usually the best thing to do is just don't engage. However, Sarah Silverman is a person with a platform and people listening to her, and she knows that she has enough people paying attention to her social media presence that she can use that to do good and set an example, which I think because of her very specific circumstances where she is a person that's capable of setting an example in that way, I think that was a brilliant thing to do on her part. Plus, any publicity is good publicity, if you want to look at that. That is really good publicity, doing a good deed like that.
Because we're talking about it.
Yeah.
And we're not the only ones.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. Which hopefully she had the intention of just trying to help somebody and not to just gain publicity for herself.
No. I was just skimming through some of the things she was saying to this guy, and it seemed very sincere and heartfelt. Which, I mean, you could.
Some of the spelling issues I couldn't get over.
Well, I mean,
Oh my God! Would you spell check?
I trust somebody that misspells a few words here and there.
Right?
than-
Is the letter U to mean Y-O-U-U?
Oh no, I can't forget that. Did she do that?
Yes.
I didn't see that part. Well, so much for that good example, she said.
Yes, there, Silverman.
I'm gonna text you and put what you do.
And I'm not gonna respond.
Damn.
Except for with angry emojis.
I'm sure you will too. Crazy.
Speaking of angry emojis, that's
Uh-huh.
another transition. Are we ready to transition?
Sure.
We're really coming at them hard and fast today, aren't we? We're not really sticking around in one place for too
I
long.
mean, do you have anything more to add?
No.
Okay.
Names.
Nope.
Speaking of angry emojis, Tiny Hands Trump, which is what I call him now.
Oh, this is where we're going. Okay.
Yeah.
I thought you were going someplace else with this. All right.
Well, I'm not. So Tiny Hands Trump this week was alleged, and I believe that it's true,
It
to
was
have,
recorded.
was it?
Yes.
Yeah.
I haven't heard the recording yet.
Yes.
But he, of course, denies it, which is
Of course.
freaking dumb when you have a recording of something that you said. But anyway, I guess that, would be for smart people. Non-geniuses do
Allegedly.
not apply.
Yeah.
So he apparently called countries like Haiti and countries in Africa shithole countries, and he didn't know why we would accept people, human beings, from quote-unquote shithole countries. he, of course, denied it. Some people support his statement, wondering why we should accept people from quote-unquote shithole countries. And other people, like myself, think that he is a shithole himself.
Right.
So Michael's like, is he though?
No, I'm just thinking. Doesn't Trump have? Isn't Trump Towers? Aren't Trump Towers? Is it one building with a plural at the end, or
Well,
multiple
I think
buildings?
there's multiple Trump branded towers.
Okay, let's say. All right. Yes. So, aren't there Trump properties in New York City, for example?
And Chicago.
Okay, but in New York City, is there also not a Statue of Liberty that basically has the creed written on it, or a plaque that's like, give me all of your people from shithole countries. We will accept them because we're fucking America, and that's what America was born to do, is accept people from all over the world of all shapes and sizes and blah, blah, blah.
I
blah,
don't
blah.
even think he knows what that creed says.
Neither does Michael. He
I-
does not say, give me your people from shithole countries or whatever.
I mean, you've got when the Statue of Liberty was built, pretty much every country was a shithole country, like including America. So
True.
it took the 20th century and flight and science to advance the world beyond shithole status. Planet Earth is a shithole, basically, is what I'm saying.
Yeah. Can't disagree because of certain people.
Yeah.
Not looking at either of you guys.
Oh, thanks.
I like it that he was supposed to go to London
Mm-hmm.
and he's not going, and they're happy. They're like, we don't want you here anyway. So it's not like he's hurting anything not going to London. They were like, shit, we don't want your rain dance here, so clap, clap. You know, stay with us. Yeah, stay right on in the USA.
Yeah. Gee, thanks, London.
Right.
So, how about a little experiment? And it's Sarah Silverman-esque, taking her example and running with it. Can the three of us think of one single good thing to say about Donald Trump that's positive? That's like, oh, well, he actually, is there one thing any of us can say about him that, like, actually is kind and nice?
He seems to genuinely care about his daughter and his kids.
Yeah.
I guess. you.
Pass.
I guess.
I don't like your example.
Sorry.
I mean, he. Only thing I can think of, he says what's on his mind, and he says what other people are thinking, and he's not scared to say it.
I'm waiting for the siren before I
They're
respond.
coming for us.
Yeah, they come and that's the. I didn't say it. I didn't do
I
it.
called Trump a shithole, so they're coming for me.
Whatever.
It's been nice.
It's
Now I
been
know
nice,
one time.
yeah.
Yeah. Now I have to hit the Matt Lauer button and keep them out.
Right.
As opposed to keeping you all in, I have to keep them out with the Matt Lauer button.
You're gonna have to underground tunnel me, underground railroad me.
I got you. I got you. It's in my blood.
My downstairs neighbor will finally be like, I thought he was building a laundry chute. That's for people?
Harriet Tubman, I got you. Come on.
There you go. But so, going back to the shithole countries, and my parents are from an alleged shithole country. They come from India, which is a third world country, which is basically a privileged way of saying shithole country.
Is India? I didn't know India was considered a third world country.
Well, I guess it can also be called like second world. It's like, oh, you have a little bit of an economy, so now we can say second world, second world. But again, those are all just like ways of saying shithole countries, right? Brown people or black people.
I mean, we've used terms like first, second, third world countries my whole life.
Mm-hmm.
I don't actually know what, I have a general sense third world means poverty and famine or something.
Brown
But
and black people.
But is there like an actual definition of like what separates a first world country from a second world country, or a second world country from a third world country, for example?
They may have something like that in like the economics field,
Uh-huh.
or some sort of business field, international business, where they have definitions about what your GDP is and whether you fall into third world, second world, or first world based on GDP. But I think it's all just based upon race, because
Yeah.
can you think of any first world countries that are majority brown or black people?
I don't know. I don't know my geography or my definitions well enough to be able to
Just based
answer
upon
that.
what you're understanding as it is.
No, probably not.
Mhm.
But Africa, isn't it a rich continent? I mean,
I know you didn't just say country.
I fixed the continent. I'm not ignorant. I might be country, but I'm not ignorant. Africa's a rich continent, right?
It depends. I mean, there's a lot of resources.
Yeah, I mean
there.
the black diamond, the diamond, the
diamonds,
oil,
the
and
gold,
yeah.
and all sorts of like just metals. And,
yeah,
But it's like saying they, through colonialism, a lot of that was
Right.
just robbed from the continent and different parts of it, and then left in complete shambles over the last 50 to 75 years, I think. And so then to say, okay, you've got all these resources that we left you, now do something with it is kind of, I think, completely ridiculous to have those expectations. So yes, there are resources, but are they being necessarily used to help the people there? I don't know.
Now, I was talking with a lady that I work with, and she's from Africa, and she said, even though she doesn't agree with Trump, things he does, she said Africa is a shithole country.
So
She did. She was like, she said, I'm from there, And I was like, nah, it's different if you say it, just like
yeah,
it's different if she says it. He means it in the worst way possible.
yes, in a racist way.
Yeah, she meant it as, she came here to get education, blah, blah, blah. He meant it to put people down.
Yeah.
So,
And
yeah.
my parents are from India, which a lot of people, including a lot of Indians, would consider to be a shithole country because it's very dirty, it's very corrupt. It's not easy to do anything there because of how difficult it is to just get around because the roads are really bad. People cannot drive, and I will not back down from that because it's the worst drivers in the world.
Mm-hmm.
And people will just throw trash in the streets, and literally put shit in the streets,
Mm-hmm.
and that kind of those types of practices make it more difficult to live there and really decrease the quality of life.
Yeah.
But to me, what does that have anything to do with our immigration policies?
Right. No, I mean, it has nothing to do with it. He's just being an asshole.
Yes,
That's
exactly.
exactly what it was. He was
Exactly.
being an asshole, and he said it because he knows he can get away with it.
Mm-hmm.
So there it is.
I feel like there's sort of an elbows off the table type of rule for someone who is president. One of the things that should never come out of your mouth, whether you're in the presence of other people or not, is the word shithole. Because it being the president of the United States, there's no way you can use a word like shithole and mean something
I think
good.
he is like a child.
Yeah.
And I've raised a child, and I'll help her raise a granddaughter. Anything, if I let my daughter when she was young, if I let her get away with A, she was gonna go to B,
Mm-hmm.
and she was gonna follow the alphabet. So he has gotten away with everything. So why not? He can say and do whatever he wants to do. Nobody is doing anything about it. So if we're not gonna do anything about the way this man is acting, let him be an asshole in peace.
Yeah.
I mean, because we're not. I mean, everybody's in an uproar, and then he'll do something else, and we'll be in an uproar about that, and nobody's doing anything to get him out of office
Well, I think
or to
only
stop him.
I think only Republicans can do that, and they're not going to because it's going to hurt the party. They
Yeah.
can't. They cannot do anything that will hurt the party. They won't.
Yeah.
They would rather put up with that kind of stuff. Even they probably
I
agree
love it
with
that he's embarrassing the hell out of them.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it,
Yes.
honey. He has embarrassed white people, Republicans. I love it. Keep doing what you're doing, Donald, because they are ashamed of you and they can't do anything about it.
Yeah.
He has embarrassed the hell out of them. Yes.
Not enough, apparently.
No, but you can tell that the people that I work with that voted for him, I remember the day he won. They bust through the door. Did you see how red the state was? This and that. And now they like it. They walk with their head down. He has embarrassed the fuck out of them, and I'm happy about it.
Yeah. Like you think that, there's something to be said about saying what's on your mind and being frank and being honest.
Yeah.
But there is a time and place for everything.
True.
I mean, I can't walk into the courthouse and walk in front of a judge and be like, man, this place is a shithole.
Oh God, no.
I give
You
you $5 if you do that.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe if I decide I don't want to practice law anymore, it might be worth it.
Yeah.
Me and Deborah, you can't walk into the hospital
No.
and say in front of a patient, this place is a
This
shithole.
is a shithole. Get your
Right,
family
like-
member out of here.
Exactly. Like you, when you're a professional, you kind of have to bite your tongue sometimes, and it sucks. But it's the price you have to pay when you go to work. And Trump does not seem to understand that. And it's not about him. It's about the position that you hold.
Yeah.
And like I might want to say a lot of different things as a lawyer, but I have a license and I have expectations from other people because I'm there representing other
Right,
people,
right.
and I can't fuck up for them.
No.
Yeah.
If it was just about me, I wouldn't really care that much. But it's about other people, and he does not consider others.
You know what I would want to do? I would really want to, have girl talk. You know how we have girl talk. I would love to get his wife alone
Oh my God.
and have some girl talk and let her be open and honest.
Oh my
I
God.
would love to talk to her.
Yeah.
She's got stories.
Yes, honey.
She's
The
got
first thing I would
secrets.
ask him is big or little.
I don't even think that's that. You need to ask that. I think we already know the answer to that because he's
I mean,
compensating for something. too.
I mean, because what in the world does she possibly? Well, I know what she's seen, and never mind. I would just love to. I would love to get a conversation with her. I would love to.
Yes, I do wonder if she has like real friends, because she seems very isolated, very standoffish, and there's nothing wrong with that. I think that if you probably I think she's led a hard life before
Yeah.
she married a rich dude, and so to a certain extent, she probably chooses isolation. But I wonder if she actually has real friends that she could be honest with, be real with.
Yeah.
And I don't know if she does, but man, I would love to hear.
I would love to talk to her. I mean, if she ever divorces him and does a tell-all book,
Oh, she would make so much money.
Oh,
she would,
gosh,
she
she
would
would.
be set for life.
She
And if
would.
that's what she wants, that's what she needs to do.
mm-hmm.
And if you want to move to Kentucky, Melania, and do that, I will be your lawyer.
Yes, honey, you can
Not
hang
that I'm
out with.
soliciting clients.
Yeah, you can hang out with me, girl.
Yes, we will give you a platform.
Yes,
We will interview you on the Queencast anytime you want, Melania.
Yes.
and you can say whatever you want to say,
Yeah.
and I'll clap for you.
And there will be hot coffee.
Yes.
But not McDonald's hot. You won't have to sue us over our hot coffee. Appropriately hot.
Mm-hmm.
And if you do decide to sue us, Michael's the one who makes the coffee.
I know he.
My
Trump-
coffee's a shithole. Gross.
It's funny.
I also don't have tax, just like our president.
Tact or tax?
You got plenty of time.
I got at least tax.
Do you pay taxes?
I-
Like our
I
president?
hope you do.
Your president?
I do. Speaking of taxes, though, we're coming up on tax season. Last year, I did my taxes in bed on my phone, and it was beautiful.
Wow.
With my electric blanket on and everything.
I did my 2016 taxes. I gave them to my accountant like 5 days before October 16th, which is the deadline for when you get an extension.
Lord have mercy.
It's really hard when you own property because you have to get all your receipts.
Oh,
and
yeah.
put them in like a shoebox, and then I have to go through them. And he wants a spreadsheet. I can barely do a spreadsheet. They don't teach that in law school. It's useless.
Useless.
Yeah, so I'm gonna try to think about doing that kind of stuff earlier though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Spreadsheet hell now instead of later.
Yeah.
Everybody will be hood rich. People get all their money back and be in the mall, be in H&M, hood rich. That's what I call
Hoodie rich.
them. Hood rich.
Hood
honey.
rich.
Mm-mm.
Save your money for a rainy day.
Right.
Or pay off debt.
And don't rent furniture, buy it.
Yes.
I know people that get income tax.
Sit on the floor until you can afford it.
Yes, put it in layaway. Hallelujah.
Yes.
All my tax refund money, if I get any, is going towards headphones for this podcast.
All right.
Glamorous, I'm telling you.
Yes.
Glamorous life.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of glamorous lives,
Where are we gonna go now?
Where we going?
we're going to Hawaii.
Yes, honey.
Oh,
we got
yeah.
married in Hawaii.
Did
Yes.
you? I didn't know that.
I got married in Hawaii.
Did
Got
you?
married in Oahu.
She said that on this show.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah,
I got
yes,
married
you
in
did say that.
Oahu. We took a 12-day cruise, went to every island, was on the water for 5 days.
Were you ever in fear of getting bombed?
No, I was not. No, I was not. Even at Pearl Harbor. We went to
Yeah.
Pearl Harbor, and I wasn't afraid of being bombed. But when they said that those people were running, the first thing that came to my mind was where they're running to. There's nowhere to go.
Yeah.
I mean,
Sitting
not to
ducks.
yeah, I mean, for real, there's nowhere to go. absolutely nowhere to go. So I can only imagine the panic that they, yeah.
So if you don't know what we're talking about, so this week, I guess all Hawaiians, or maybe all Hawaiians with a smartphone, got an alert saying that a missile bombing, or the proper phrase.
A nuclear missile was coming to destroy them, is what the alert said.
Yeah, and I guess find shelter. I don't really know what you do in a nuclear missile attack.
Right.
I remember from like the stuff that I've watched from the 50s where it's like, hide under your desk.
I've got
None of
Hide under
that.
your table.
I've got the alert right here. It says
Yes, please read it.
ballistic. This is all in capital letters.
Yes.
Ballistic missile threat inbound to Hawaii. Seek immediate shelter. This is not a drill. That's
Yes.
what every Hawaiian with a
And
smartphone
it
got
took
on their
them
phone.
38 minutes to retract it. So those people
Turns out
were
it
in
wasn't
panic.
true.
38
It
minutes.
wasn't even a drill. Somebody fucked up and accidentally hit the
Yeah,
button by
that's what
mistake.
the man said. The gentleman that done the what you call that? The news conference, the press conference. He said somebody hit the button by mistake. That's what he said. And it took them 38 minutes to send another one to say false alarm.
Just kidding.
Just kidding. Psych.
God.
Yeah.
Can you imagine that? I mean,
No.
I can't.
No.
I can't. I would just be like, what?
Yeah. So can you imagine the people that were at Pearl Harbor that day when they got that text? Could you imagine what they were? I mean, it's right there. I mean, my God.
Like, technology is great in so many ways. We wouldn't be able to do what we're doing right now if it wasn't for technology.
Right.
But man, there's just one button that some dude gets to push, and
Did he get fired?
I don't know. Let me see. Let me
also,
look that up.
what is his job?
Yeah.
Like, does he just wait to push that button, and then he got like antsy, and was like, oops.
He had too much coffee.
Well, so in Hawaii they've got this this bomb shelter, and it's buried underground, and there's a guy that sits in front of this button, and he has to push the button every 108 seconds.
Is that real, or are you describing one of the premises of Lost?
Never mind.
I know. I'm like
4, 8, 15, 16, 26, 32. All the numbers are bad. Why do I still remember that?
I know it. I'm
I
like,
haven't-
he
I
remembers
still
that.
don't understand what happened on Lost.
I don't either.
Okay.
What are you doing on your phone? Are you looking for something?
I'm trying to see if this guy got fucking fired or what his actual job was.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, I guess because Hawaii is so close to, it's not so close to North Korea, but it's closer to North Korea than we are.
Right.
I guess they have some sort of system that allows there to be some forewarning about a bomb attack. Honestly, if it was a nuclear missile, would you all want to know?
I mean, there's nothing you can do about it.
Right.
I don't think you can do anything.
Hide under a table, according to the 50s.
Yeah.
Get under your school desk, children.
I don't.
I don't know if I would want to know, to be honest. I just, like, 38 minutes is a very small amount of time to, like, I don't know.
But it was
Take
probably
that
an
in
eternity for them because, 38 minutes.
Yeah.
Thinking that a missile's coming, I'm sure you're looking up in the air, waiting.
Would you be looking up in the air?
I mean, shit, I'm looking. What the hell
There it is.
I mean, it's coming. Here it is. I mean, you're listening, you're looking,
Ooh, I wonder if you went underwater, if you would be okay. I don't know if that's true.
No, you wouldn't.
Mm-mm.
Because then you would drown because the radiation would kill you if you came up for air. So,
Oh, yeah.
So there is no escape.
no.
I wonder how big a nuclear missile's radius is in comparison to,
Well,
for
it has to-
example, the smallest to the largest islands of Hawaii.
well, the big island, of course, from what I was told, and I was there, it's the biggest island.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't know how many miles it is, but I was there, and we went on both sides of it. We drove from one, the boat took us from one side to the other, the day excursions.
Yeah.
But I'm not for sure how big the big island is.
When I was there, when I was a teenager, we drove. There's a highway that goes around the perimeter of the island,
Mhm.
and I want to say it took us like 4 hours to drive around the entirety of Oahu.
Did you all stop?
I mean, I don't probably,
Okay.
but
So it's not very big.
no, not very big.
Okay.
No, it's not very big at all.
Yeah.
From
So.
a high point, you can see
Oahu-
the whole island.
Oahu's not the big island.
Oh,
Oahu is a different island than the big island.
Right.
The big island is here, Oahu is here.
Okay.
So it's two different islands.
Right.
Oahu's the populated big
It
island
looks like
with the
it looks
hotels
like
and stuff.
Louisville.
Yeah.
It does.
Does it?
It does.
Yep. Except their McDonald's sells spam. Yeah.
So, Michael, do you want to ask your question?
Yeah, the question I had when I was reading this story, and I'm not finding where the person who did this was fired, but this story I'm
You
reading
better
is
got rolled up.
terrible. It's just people recounting the fact that they were like, well, we thought there was a missile coming and all of the shelters were already full and I had no place to take my kids. So we were just like huddled in our house ready to die for a half an hour.
Jesus Christ.
Like that's what all of these stories in this story about this is, and that's so fucking nuts. But somebody hit a button or clicked something on a computer by mistake. That was the actual problem.
Seemed like you would know that that's the button to push, not to push.
Yeah. But
no, I guess like if you like, is it like the reply all button where you don't realize it right away that you hit it? You send out a dumb email to everybody that you didn't mean to send it to. But this is, you would think that they would have some sort of safeguards
Yeah, the big red around.
beyond just reply all.
Yeah.
all it says here is someone clicked the wrong thing on the computer, he said. And he was some official, Richard Raposa, a spokesman for the agency, something or other. So somebody clicked the wrong thing on a computer, and so an entire island of people thought they were going to die
Oh
for
my God.
a little over half an hour.
Yep.
So the question I had when I learned about this, that I asked myself and then I asked you all, and now I'm asking our audience, if you thought a missile was coming, and I don't know if they knew that they had, it took them 38 minutes to fix it. I don't know if they knew how much time they actually had. But let's say you knew you had approximately 38 minutes left to live. And whether or not that was actually true or not, you were convinced it was so because your phone said you're about to die. So let's say you got that alert. How would you spend your last moments thinking this is actually the end? What would you all do in that situation?
So I think, I guess the easy answer for me is I'd probably pray, and you know, if my family wasn't with me, I'd probably get them on the phone so that we could all pray together. And I don't know, I'd probably put some like stuff out on social media, just making amends to anyone that I've like hurt, and just say I apologize for anyone that I've hurt. I would try to make things right, and I'd try to make sure that I got to heaven and also died quickly as opposed to like painfully. Deborah's like, not me. I mean, like the fun thing would be like what I would like to do is if my family was with me and we would just eat a whole bunch of food like with no regrets, and I would probably donate all my money to some charity that was not about to get blown up.
Can you do all that in 38 minutes?
Oh yeah, you can do that online. But and then like, can I eat food in 38 minutes? Hell yeah.
Can you cook the food?
No, I mean I'd probably go and like loot Walmart because #yellow. Give me some Swiss rolls,
Steal some.
ice cream. It would all be garbage, kettle chips. And
You
I
would
just,
be dead before you left the Walmart in a situation
hey,
like
but at
that.
least I would have control.
True.
My own destiny.
Yes, exactly. I would definitely like to just eat whatever I wanted without having to worry about. And is this going to be all in my hips tomorrow?
Hips don't lie.
So Deborah, what would you do?
I mean, I would just want everybody that I love to know that I love them. That's about it. Because I'm going to eat what I want to, regardless if something's coming or not. So, but I would want, you know, and I would want her, since it's myself and my granddaughter and my daughter here, I would want us to be together,
Yes.
you know, and then that's about it. And I would want them to know that I love them, which I know they already know, but, you know,
Yeah.
I would just want us together.
Yes.
That's about it.
Yeah.
What about you, Michael?
The first thing I would do would be to contact my loved ones, and you know, I've been sitting here like mentally compiling a top 10 list of the 10 people that I have to call in case I know I'm going to die.
Yeah.
So like I would make sure all those 10 people are taken care of, either by phone call or text or something. I have a feeling, like I don't know what happens in a chaos situation with smartphones because we haven't really had to face that yet. But like in a situation like that, are people going to be able to get texts and phone calls, or will the service providers be? Yeah, will there be a
Or will
crash?
they be turned off on purpose to prevent additional chaos?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah, exactly. See that's that's something that I'm just now thinking about. So, but ideally, I would, contact all the people on my list and just be like, I love you, I'll miss you, I'm sorry, goodbye.
Yeah.
And after that's really the only thing I would do. After that, I would probably, I might. No, milk takes too much time.
You gotta measure the sugar that he puts
I don't want to die while I'm using the whisk. That's a bad way to go out. Whisking a milkshake. I don't even have a fucking blender.
Oh, shit. We got to get you a blender. I thought you was making all these in a blender.
No, I'm making them by hand.
Oh, God. I don't even understand how you can do that.
I explained it in the last episode. Maybe you should go back and listen.
No, but I just don't understand how you can make a milkshake with a whisk. I understand you can make something together
He's
with like,
whisking the hell out of it.
good God.
Yeah. I'm burning all the calories that I'm about to drink before I even drink it by
He's got a
whisking
strong hand.
it into. I do. Just one strong, very strong hand.
How did he get so strong?
Because that shit down there's heavy, okay? There's a lot to pick up.
Yes!
Oh, God. Oh, God.
We can just end on that note, right?
Boom. No.
Anyway, finish your non-dick story.
No, finish that one.
I'll finish that one off mic. I don't know what else I would do. I mean, like, as long as my loved ones, the loved ones that I wanted to know I was going to miss them and love them, knew that. Like, that's pretty much all I got. Like, I would probably, if I lived here and if I was in this apartment, I would probably sit out on my front porch and smoke and just look up at the sky.
See, look up at the sky because we want to see it coming. For some reason, it's curious. We're curious about it.
I'd throw on a good record. I'd maybe sit there, fill in with my guitar, and smoke and just wait for the end. Because what else? That's a very small amount of time. Like, I can't run anywhere. Like that.
Can't you?
Well, I mean, from here, my best bet would be to try to get into Indiana somehow, which I would not be able to do.
No, but wait, is that where you want to die?
No, but that would be, I feel like that would be my best choice of survival. Maybe, because, I
To be
mean,
honest, no one's going to try to bomb Louisville, Kentucky because it's like, what have they got?
We got Churchill Downs.
We do, but is that what like some terrorist is thinking? Or like
No.
Kim Jong-un is like, oh yes, if they lose Churchill down, there will be nothing left of America.
if they're really thinking, they're thinking, well, Louisville has some,
Don't give them no idea.
I know, it's a terrible place, but
It's a shithole.
Yeah, it's a total shithole. If you bomb us, nobody in America would care, so don't bomb us.
We don't give
that's
a-
actually probably true. But
We're still better than Tennessee, Ohio, Indiana, Missouri, everywhere. But it's
Yeah.
not bomb worthy. It's totally not bomb worthy.
No, we're not. No.
the Midwest is probably, like, Chicago might get bombed, right?
Of
Like,
course.
Chicago and Atlanta, those are
Yeah.
probably the two closest cities to us that would realistically
Mm-hmm.
get targeted
Yes.
by some sort of nuclear attack. And
Especially if you're not from America, you've actually heard of those places.
Right.
Like,
Right.
most people have not heard of Louisville, Kentucky.
right, and if they have, it's because of the Derby.
Derby.
Because
Or Muhammad Ali.
rich people, yeah. And but Muhammad Ali's dead, so
Yeah.
the Derby would be the threat that you would, right? Like,
Who wants to hurt horses?
right,
Besides the
especially
glue industry.
when
Dog food industry.
horse racing is a very rich sport, and there are a lot of people from overseas with a lot of money that have ties to horse racing because
Oh
it's
yeah, you can
luxurious.
tell by the
Yes.
airport when it's Derby time. You see all those planes with the different writing on them.
Yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
People in their private planes coming
Yeah.
from like Bowman Field and
Yeah,
stuff
oh
like
yeah,
that.
I see them. I'm like,
Yeah.
ooh, I wonder what she got off of that. Yes, what prince came off of that?
And I'm like, are there any human trafficking victims back there?
Yes, the answer is always yes.
I don't know, but I'll make some money doing Derby.
No, Deborah, no.
Okay.
We're not going to let human traffic ourselves, which is not technically possible, but it's all right.
How's that
You
not
can't rape-
possible?
You can't rape the willing.
Yes, that. Consent matters.
Boom. Boom.
All right.
Come get it.
All right.
Oh, man.
It won't be free, but I'll be reasonable.
Ask about my rates. Inquire inside.
Check going beyond expectations. My rates up.
My expectations are actually pretty higher, like much higher than that. So you need to bring them up again. We've gone below expectations, Deborah. Damn, we're not selling ourselves today.
Okay, retract.
I do wonder if like that kind of like, you know, you've got X amount of time to live type of thing happened if the like flight or flight or
Fear.
what is it now?
Fight or flight.
Fight or flight, like instinct would kick in, or and I think that a lot of people have this, and I think I might have this, the freeze sort of instinct as well. Like either you're going to be the fighter, you're going to be the runner, or you just don't know what the hell to do and you just freeze and can't do anything.
Oh.
I wonder if that would kick in, and that's how we would respond, even though we would have this idea that we would try to be with our families and the people that we love, and really, like, you know, Deborah would be like, "Come on, Miss Lou, I'm gonna punch you in the face.
I wish I could.
punch
Honey.
you back in
Stop
the
it.
face. Stop it."
I become Wonder Woman.
Yes, I believe that. Yes.
For several different reasons. One of those being fear. You know, I don't think I would try to go anywhere because I think in a situation like that, in a dire emergency situation where the shit is about to hit the fan for everybody, like there's what are you gonna do? Like you can't really go anywhere because everybody, you're gonna, like with the Walmart, you're gonna die trying to. If I tried to escape to Indiana, I would die going across the bridge. Somebody would kill me.
Or if you could even get that far, because if there was even like half the population was in flight mode and was trying to get out of the city, they would immediately get stuck in traffic.
I think I would be more scared for my loved ones than myself.
Yeah.
Like if it happened during the day, my granddaughter would be at the daycare by herself.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? My daughter would be at home on the other side of town, and then I'm at work. You know what I'm saying? So I would be more fearful for my granddaughter.
Yeah.
Because she's 4 and she's at the daycare, and you know I'm sure they would do everything to protect them. But I'm sure she would be looking for her mom or me.
Right, exactly.
You know,
It would probably, they would, like the workers, they would probably be scared
yeah.
and wondering about their families and
Of
wanting to be with
course.
them as well.
And would they leave my granddaughter there? You know what I'm saying?
Right. And I don't think they would, but that like fear of, you know, the unknown and caring about your loved ones, I think would be noticed by the kids. I'm sure they would pick up on that.
Yeah, because they're very smart, so they're going to pick up.
Yeah, which is, I think, probably the scariest thing is knowing that like someone you love is scared and you can't do anything about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's an interesting point too. If I had kids, if I had small kids, I think any parent would do this, and I would try to go find my kid if my kid wasn't with me. That is the only thing I would do. Otherwise, just being me, I would stay here because there's really nothing I can realistically do. And like now whether or not, you know, panic kicked in, and when panic kicks in, your brain tells you all sorts of weird shit. So who knows what I would actually try to do, but like sitting here with my rational brain, I'm thinking the sooner I get to acceptance about what's about to happen, the more peaceful it's going to be when it does.
Right.
So my rational brain says, I just sit here, take a deep breath, relax, because you can't do anything.
Right. But your instinctual caveman brain, I guess you never really know until it happens what you will actually do.
Yeah.
Which kind of makes me think that I wouldn't want to know.
Yes.
Because especially if my family wasn't already with me, then the emotions that would go along with not being with them would probably be too overwhelming, and I wouldn't want to deal with that. I'd rather just be like, oh, I'm gonna go to boom, done, dead.
Yeah.
But just think, when he pushed the button on accident, he could have gave people heart attacks.
I know.
Yeah.
Like, what was that back in the day when they acted like the world was ending? It was a
War of the Worlds?
where people were jumping out windows and stuff. What was that? Whatever. I can't remember what it was, but you know, people were actually committing suicide because they thought the world was ending.
Orson Welles was doing a radio broadcast reading the story, The War of the Worlds. And people were turning it on and hearing him read this story about Martians invading and all this kind of stuff, not realizing that he was reading a book.
Right.
They thought they were listening to an actual radio broadcast, and then aliens were attacking, so they were killing themselves.
Yeah. So what if that had happened? People were actually taking themselves out of their families because they made the decision how they wanted to go.
Yes.
So
exactly.
just think if that happened, if that had have happened.
Yeah.
But then there's like the other side of this that, you know, where you have a mistake like this that happens and it kind of makes you think, like, oh, you know, if it happens again.
The boy that cried wolf.
Right, exactly.
Thinking about that.
Yeah, where you're like, it happens again and you're like, oh, this is just a mistake again.
Right.
Like, you can only get so many mistakes before people just are like, ignore it. They
Mhm.
ignore it. And then, of course, like the one time it actually does happen, you're like, oh,
Right.
crap.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
It's
how
weird times.
that kind of brings me back to what we were talking about in the beginning with our weather here, because like we were saying, it was really warm for a couple of days this week, and then just boom, it was cold and snowy again.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember on Wednesday or whatever it was when people were like, well, it's going to snow really bad, blah blah blah. I was like, right, because
We always
I pay attention to the fucking weather app on my phone, and there's always some shit about to go down, and it never happens. And we always get tornado warnings here in Tornado Alley, and the tornadoes never touch down. So I've heard this shit
That's
so
a
many
blessing.
times. Yeah,
It
I've
is.
heard this shit so many times that when it finally does happen, I'm gonna be fucked because I don't believe any of it anymore. That's a problem. So I don't know.
Well, everybody else believed it because, honey, the shelves, me, myself, I was getting junk food just in case. All the bread was gone, no junk.
Yeah, I saw
Eggs
pictures
were
of
gone, milk was gone. I was like, what are y'all making, French toast?
it. It is like apparently when there's bad weather, everybody just eats French toast.
I guess so, but
Yeah.
I was getting little Pop-Tarts. I had Doritos. I hope
Yes.
everybody's not listening.
I ate like
I was
popcorn.
having bacon. And I was getting chicken, the
Yeah.
fry. I mean, I was getting that type of stuff. I wasn't sitting about no bread and eggs and
Yeah.
some milk. Like that, I want some macaroni and cheese.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, I mean-
Pepsi.
Yeah, I had 2 Pepsis in my car. I was getting that type of stuff. I was like, wow, what are y'all gonna fix French toast? What are you
I
doing?
just don't like French toast.
I mean, I don't
I'll
like
say
it that
that.
much. To
It's
get
usually too soggy
Yeah.
yeah.
and too eggy.
Yeah, but that's actually kind of a good equivalent. So when there's a tornado warning, because we've all experienced
Yeah.
the tornado
Yes.
warnings here, and occasionally we'll actually get a real tornado that touches down and causes some damage. And this area has in the past had severe tornado damage, but luckily we've avoided that for the last several years. Well, in Louisville we have, and in Indiana a couple years ago a tornado touched down
The wind from
like
that
20 miles from here and ripped through a school and all kinds of
the
shit.
wind from one of the tornadoes over in Indiana, a tree fell on my granddaughter's daycare.
Really?
And
Jesus.
it was children there,
Oh,
but
no.
they were thank God they were in the dining room eating,
Right.
and it fell on one of the classrooms. So it was closed. Her daycare was closed for like 5 months.
Oh wow.
So yeah,
That's scary.
so you can imagine me being at work and it came on the news, and I'm like, what time is it? And I'm running to the phone,
Right.
calling, and she's like, Mom, I picked Mo up a long time ago. I was like, oh my God, she was like a tree fell,
Right.
So yeah, and thank God none of the kids got hurt, but shit like that happens. So,
Yeah. So what do you guys do when there's a tornado warning and it's for your area or whatever? Like, how do you usually react to that?
My parents are so awful. No, they're not. But to them, a tornado warning means go outside and look up at the
That's what I do.
That's what
That's
parents
what I
do.
do.
I look out the door, I'm like, ain't no clouds. It's not
And
even
we have a
raining.
basement, like just freaking go down there. But then they do it, and then I'm like, well, I want to see too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we just stand outside, look up.
So that's probably what you would do if a nuclear. That's probably actually what you would do. You would probably treat it like a tornado warning and go out and look at the sky. Because, like, I just realized that I said what I would probably do is sit out on my porch and smoke and look up at the sky if a nuclear missile was coming.
Well, I know
And that's exactly what I do when a tornado comes.
if I'm at work, if I was working, sorry, if I was at work, we would close all the blinds to the patient's rooms.
Yeah.
We would get blankets to put over them just in case the glass starts breaking.
Yeah.
And my daughter and I, we have a safety place. Of course, both of us, if anything happens like that, and when it's over, we are to meet at the daycare. Because that's the central location. We're going for the
It's
fourth.
not a secret.
Yeah. No, it's, I mean, nobody knows the daycare, so you know what I'm saying? So,
Except it's the one with that had a tree fall on it.
oh, that's, honey, they not getting in there. It's a fortress. They do not play at that daycare. So, it's a safety place.
Yeah. So that's a good idea.
Mm-hmm.
If that kind of stuff happened, and I guess there's a potential future for us. My sisters and I were planning on meeting in Kentucky, and then we would take over a warehouse because it would have lots of water and food.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So do zombie zombie rules apply to this warehouse?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because
Was this actually conceived as a zombie rule?
yes.
Okay.
Yes, it was. Yeah, for the zombie apocalypse, because we have enough people that at least initially we would be able to defend ourselves at the warehouse, and then because we would be a central location for food and water, people would come to us in order to get food and water, and we would be able to enlist them in our anti-zombie army to protect ourselves and our food supply.
Yeah,
It's a good
Okay.
plan.
it is a good plan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Things that you have to think about for no good reason, and yet our plan for nuclear missile is look up at the sky.
Look up at the sky. Yep. Look up at the sky. So.
In all of these situations, if I could get to the building I work in, I would stand a pretty good chance of surviving all of those situations because I work in a government building that is built in case a war happens. Like there are protections in place in case the shit hits the fan.
Yeah.
Because they used to make bombs and missiles and stuff where I work. So
Mm-hmm.
there's apparently a secret passageway that leads from the building I work in to an undisclosed location that I've never discovered, but it apparently exists in case there are higher up people in the military or in the government or whatever in the building when something happens so that they can get them to safety.
Why would there be those people there? Do they still use it for any sort of government?
They don't now, but during World War II, it was a very
Okay.
important place. I mean, that's pretty much the only time it was super important,
Mm-hmm.
the factory, but no, there's no government there now, but apparently there is a secret tunnel somewhere still.
You should find it, and then we all know where to go.
We'll
Yeah.
take it over.
Yes, we'll be hiding down there.
It's going to be hard to get there from here, though, if something happens. That's the only problem.
Yeah.
But if
So
it,
we'll try. If
We'll
it's,
get there.
if it's going to be one of those things where we know that we wouldn't be just immediately killed, it might be worth trying to get there.
But you know what? We ain't good enough shape. We can walk it. We
That's
can
true.
run it. Yeah.
That
I
would-
could swim it.
Yeah. Oh God, in that nasty water.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll get a little paddle boat or something.
Yeah, we'll have to snatch some kayaks or something because I'm not getting in that nasty ass water.
Yeah.
yeah.
We might as well just die in a nuclear
I'm
attack.
not. Ugh,
Can't
God.
get into the Ohio River.
Yes. Oh God, no. Mm-mm.
So I'm hungry now. I don't know why.
Nuclear bomb, water,
French toast.
French
French
toast,
toast,
zombies.
popcorn,
Yeah.
Pepsi,
all of the
milkshakes.
above, macaroni and cheese.
Oh, yes. We have to go to Doc Rose one day and eat their macaroni
I
and cheese.
love it.
It is so good.
Yes.
What's so good about it?
It's just
They have this like blend of herbs that they put in there, and then it's like a baked macaroni and
Just pick it
cheese,
up
and
and
it's
just-
like a bunch of different cheeses. And it's a white macaroni and cheese, which
Of course.
yeah, but like I usually prefer the yellow, like not something that comes from true biological means macaroni and cheese.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Like that yellow doesn't happen in nature.
No,
So,
no.
I usually prefer that, but there's something about their mac and cheese that is just amazing.
And it tastes the same every time.
Yes. So if you're in Louisville, you should check out Doc Crow's, and if you're Doc Crow's, you should give us some money.
Yeah.
And check me all out.
Yes.
Or mac and cheese. I will also say
Yes.
payment in mac and cheese.
Yes.
But not too much mac and cheese, because
No,
it's
just
a lie.
Speak for yourself.
just cater. Bring your catering services to the Queencast when we record. I'll eat all of the mac and cheese that they don't eat. It'll be fine. I'll make milkshakes for everybody. It'll be great.
Mac and cheese milkshakes.
No, we're not doing. Do not mess with the macaroni and cheese.
I need to try Alex's meat milkshake or whatever it is. First. No, first I need to try my peanut butter and jelly milkshake. Grape jelly. Grape milkshake.
No,
No,
no.
I'm not gonna try that. On that note, I actually don't have any transition to anything except for our ending. So we have been talking for slightly over an hour, and I think that we are in a good place to
Yes.
end this episode of the Queencast. We hope that you enjoyed us. We hope that Alex is back with us next week, and that we can bring you some solid entertainment.
Of course we will. We always do.
That's correct. That was the
Yeah.
right answer.
Yes, it was. Also, if you are one of our listeners and you live in Hawaii, if you could contact us and tell us what that period of time was like,
Yes.
that would be amazing. I don't know if we have any listeners in Hawaii. I haven't checked those stats in a while, but if we do, please get a hold of us and tell us what that was like, because I really want to hear a first person account of that.
You can send us a message on Instagram at the.queencast.
Or email us at thequeencast@gmail.com.
And also on Twitter, the Queencast at Twitter.
And Facebook, you can look up the Queencast.
Yeah, we're very predictable for a reason.
Yes.
Yes.
Because we are the Queencast, and as always,
God
God
save
save
the
the Queen.
Queencast.
Yes.
Queencast.
Yes, there it is. we gonna get it out.
I'm afraid to talk about Black Hogwarts. Sorry.
You want to talk